Today, we become legends.
It's no secret that I think Smite 2 has gotten 10 times better in the last few months from all the updates to the game, but at the moment at least, most of these updates have been focused on porting new gods as fast as possible, while only doing small things to other aspects of the game like items, maps, menus, etc. With the push to 50 gods concluding in January and the team stating that they're going to slow down god releases at that point to focus on other aspects of the game, here's everything that's going to be coming in the big January free-to-play patch that's either confirmed by the devs, hinted at through data mining, and also my own wish list of what I want to see. Of course, I don't expect absolutely all of the things listed here, especially the stuff on my wish list, to be there, but it's just some things I would like to see. I'll be happy if at least a few of these things are added. So what's confirmed so far for January? Well, Joust, Duel, and an Assault rule set on the Conquest map are all planned for a January release at the moment, and should be in the big, quote, January patch, which is very exciting, and combined with free-to-play launching, it should bring back a lot of people who've been waiting for these more casual modes in Smite 2. These 10 gods are also pretty much confirmed for January, though they did say it's possible there's some unforeseen delays and they might get pushed back, but it's pretty likely we'll see most or all of these 10 throughout January, with probably these 5 coming in the big January patch early on in the month, and these 5 coming later in the month in a second patch. Text chat is also confirmed for January, or potentially even earlier, which is really good to see. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to make a call but can't quite get my point across with VGS, and I've even met quite a few friends through Smite that I likely never would have added on Discord and chatted with if I couldn't chat with them in-game first. That's all the officially confirmed stuff so far, but we've also got some data mining that hints at quite a few other things coming either in January or soon after that. If you don't like data mining and spoilers and only want to hear official info, skip to this time in the video. And as always, data mining is a first look into things the team are working on and is sometimes unreliable. It can find things they've started working on but scrapped and won't actually be coming, and it can find things they are working on but with incomplete information, so don't treat any of this as gospel just yet. Okay, so first up, a new Conquest map layout was data mined a little while ago, with some geometry changes to the jungle, such as moving red buff closer to mid lane, moving speed buff back further into your half of the map similar to Smite 1, and putting back happies where speed buff used to be. And of course, the elephant in the room, adding these huge extra side jungle areas, which appear to have space to house at least 4 camps of some kind. In the mining, they said there was going to be colored jars that you can smash with abilities or basic attacks that grant effects like instant health, instant gold, instant mana, and instant cooldown reductions. So likely these will be housed in the smaller alcoves of this jungle area, as well as potentially around the middle jungle area as well. The one bigger alcove will likely be a new jungle camp, potentially an extra buff like green buff to give all players on the map a buff effect, or maybe something entirely new. Scorpions were mentioned as well, so it could be that. The mining also suggests there will be new visuals for Conquest, but we aren't sure how far that will go. It could be a small visual update, a complete overhaul, or even a new environment and theme entirely. We're yet to see that. In regards to Joust, here's the rough block layout map, which of course follows in the footsteps of the Season 3 Chinese Joust map from Smite 1, generally regarded as the best of the 3 main Joust maps we've had. It will be Arthurian themed in terms of art, and from the mining we can see that there will be an NPC ballista of some kind. This could be part of a new objective, or it could just be the towers. There's a bar that fills over time and from getting god kills, and if the bar fills completely, enemy towers are disabled, similar to Bull Demon King's effect from Smite 1. However, it seems the BDK will not be in Smite 2 Joust, instead the Lost Knight will replace him, which of course fits the Arthurian theme much better. There's no information yet in the mining on what his effect will actually be, since I assume it will not be tower disabling given the bar that fills up and does the same thing, so it likely will have some kind of new effect. Okay, next up from the data mining is the talent/aspects system, which is something that has been in mining for a while, and it seems like the idea of the system is something you select pre-match and will modify the way your abilities behave. Again, we have no official information on this, so take it with a grain of salt, but here's some examples of what an aspect could look like in Smite 2. For Loki, he loses 15 base protections but can stealth through walls using his 1. For Thanatos, he now gains a permanent max HP buff on killing minions and gods, and max HP scaling damage on his 3. Again, the information here is very incomplete, and it's likely this whole system will look a lot different if it ever does come to the game. But it definitely has promise in my opinion as a way to change the playstyle of certain gods. Also from data mining, we can see a list of gods that are currently in the game files and are likely to be some of the next gods coming after the first 50 are completed in January. Here's that full list. So that's pretty much everything we know officially and through data mining that will be coming in January or soon afterwards, but here's some other things I'd really like to see added. First up, new and more interesting items and reworks to existing items that aren't used or are boring. This is something that's really been thrown to the wayside in favor of pushing out more gods, which I do think was the right decision, but the team has said that once they hit 50 gods, they'll slow them down substantially to focus on other aspects of the game. And I think reworking some of the boring and underbought items and adding some new ones with more interesting effects will be essential for a big January patch, in my opinion. More attention being paid to the out-of-game experience will also be essential, in my opinion. In the current stage of Smite 2, with it being an early alpha and mostly existing Smite 1 fans playing, it's sort of okay to have the out-of-match experience be so unfinished. But if the game is to go free-to-play and try to attract new players from outside Smite's ecosystem, having things like a fleshed-out home screen, background environments for the lobby screen, better tutorials and information pages, a more fleshed-out store, all this kind of stuff will be very important. We've seen recently that they've been working on this stuff at least a little bit since we got the God page background environment, which is a huge improvement. This stuff might seem small, but without it, it really makes the game look like a test build and not a real complete game. So more of this in the January patch will really help the game look more legitimate to a potential new audience it will attract when going free to play. Next up, a small handful of gods do still need gameplay feels and animation passes, in my opinion. I don't want to harp on this too much, as I think over 80% of the gods actually feel as good or better than they do in Smite 1 now, and a ton of progress has been made on this front already. But there are still some gods like Bellona, Anher, Mordred, or Susano that need some work on their game feel and animations just to make sure every god is up to standard for the free-to-play launch. Again, having the game in a polished state without that kind of jank that some of these gods have will make it way more legitimate in the eyes of new players that will come in on free-to-play launch that have never played Smite before. Okay, so this is a wild one that will probably not happen given the current state of the actual game and the fact that a lot of artists were laid off at Hi-Rez recently, but I do think a launch cinematic of similar quality to the ones we used to get for Smite 1 would be huge in giving the game a more epic vibe. Of course, gameplay trumps cinematics and marketing for me, but it could be huge in getting people initially invested in the game if they see an epic, high-quality cinematic trailer rather than the current Smite 2 trailer, which uses only in-game footage and doesn't look amazing. Next up is matchmaking, which is a hard one to fix, but with hopefully a flood of new players coming into the game in January, it hopefully should get better just from that, as you have a larger pool of players to pull from. There will also be a hard reset of SR in January, at least for ranked, but maybe for casuals as well, so I think getting matchmaking in place where it's highly responsive for the first few weeks or months will be essential. You need to very quickly separate the veterans from the new players, or everyone's match quality will suffer. Veterans don't want new players on their team, and new players don't want to be stomped into the ground by veterans while they try and learn the game. You could even implement a hard rule of not allowing anyone with a linked Smite 1 account into a queue with people who are entirely new, but that could be abused and come with some problems. You could even try pulling existing Smite 1 players MMR and separating out any that are above that average into their own queues for the first few weeks, but again, that could cause issues depending on player base size. I'm not a developer, so I don't know the exact best approach for this, but I do know that if Smite 2 launches into free-to-play and a flood of new players come in with the matchmaking in its current state, it's not going to be pretty. Another thing that would be really nice for the January patch, in my opinion, would be an earned currency system, akin to Favor from Smite 1. The team has said they're working on something like this, but it will be more in-depth than the Favor system, as they're trying to fix problems like long-time players having nothing to spend their Favor on and stuff like that, so this might not be ready for January, but it would be cool if it was, especially with the game going free-to-play. You want some way for players to earn gods without spending real money or diamonds on the god pack. On a similar note to the Favor system as well, adding more progression, like level progression, where you get free ascension passes, free gods, and that kind of stuff will be good as well. But that's it for all the stuff that is confirmed, hinted at through data mining, and hoped for by me in the big January patch of Smite 2. What do you think? Are there some things I didn't mention that you really hope will be there? Let me know down below, and I'll catch you guys for another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.